Okay, everybody should have just gotten the formal recording in progress announcement, so we're live. We ask also that you take our attendance survey. We've got a link in the chat that you can click on, or you can hold up your phone and do the QR code. It's really important and helpful for us that we capture this attendance because it shows that we have active participation in the community. It's actually one of the things that we report out in our annual reports, which we're required to do as a business resource group. OFM, if you're curious, OFM has posted the fiscal year 2022 or the last fiscal year reports on their websites, on the BRG website, so you can go read about the past events we've done. We'll cover that actually today. So, but please submit your membership or your attendance to do the survey. That'll be really helpful for us. So today's agenda is, it should be an interesting one. We have our welcome portion. We're going to talk a little bit about the upcoming Public Service Recognition Awards. And then we're going to be honoring our executive sponsor, Lourdes y Alfie Alvarado Ramos. Everybody I know just refers to her as Alfie though. We're also going to talk about the last year, 2022 in review, let's talk about the different events we held. And then we'll have a short discussion on what you would like us to do in 2023. So we're looking for feedback, input on speakers you might like to hear about, events you might be interested in joining. Speakers, did I say speakers already? We're looking for Latino or Latina Latinx leaders throughout state government. So, if you know a director or maybe a secretary of an agency, or all levels of leadership, we'd love to hear your suggestions so we can either interview them for the newsletter or feature them as a speaker for one of our membership meetings. You'll also be curious too about interest in getting together in person, because while these are really great because we can be involved across the state, I also miss seeing some of y'all in person. So, okay. Let's see, I'm checking to see if Alfie is here yet. Alfie's got a busy schedule, so I'm trying to make sure if she's here yet in person or not. I'm not seeing her, but so one of the things I wanted to share with you is the Public Service Recognition Awards. So in May, there will be Public Service Recognition Week, which is usually when agencies in the state hold events to honor y'all for your public service. This is a different line of work than the private sector. We don't get stock options. We don't get some of those perks that you've heard about, like ping pong and pizza. Instead, we get good benefits, healthy work-life balance, and knowing that we're doing good for our communities. And there are two awards that we wanted to highlight: the Extra Mile Award and the Leadership Award. And again, we've got the QR codes up, and these are actually practice forms. The nomination forms aren't live yet, but we want to encourage you to check these awards out and get your nominations ready to nominate your peers and coworkers. These are important awards, and I know that there are a lot of folks here and outside of this meeting that that are very deserving of recognition. And so it's something where if you don't write the nomination, then the award's not going to be given to that person. So just please take some time and look up the different awards. They're looking for people that are outstanding leaders, that have a commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, that build community, look for new ways to serve our communities. And I know that the LLN members are some really hardworking folks, and want to encourage you to write some nominations. So yeah, so again, these are practice forms. The live forms will launch soon after it. So what I would encourage you to do is maybe save what you write in a Word document. So when the actual forms go live, you can just copy and paste it in, and it makes it real easy at that point. Okay. Can I ask, is Alfie in the building? Okay, well, maybe it makes it easier to start because Alfie's a very humble person. So we could maybe get started and you can hear about how great she is, and then she doesn't have to feel as in the spotlight, maybe. Does that sound okay to everybody?
I think that sounds great, Tony.
Okay, thank you, Monica. Monica is our co-chair, by the way. You have to see her speaking as well with this. Thank you for the vote of confidence. Okay, so today we are recognizing Alfie. I will say this has been one of the tougher things to work on because I really respect Alfie, and well, that's not an uncommon sentiment. And trying to think about how to share her story and in a way that doesn't make her self-conscious, but also, you know, shares the amazing breadth and impact that she's had over her course of her service. I'm going to let you know too. Let's see. Oh, there she is. Hi, Alfie.
Hello.
You arrived just in time.
Yes, sir.
So let's see if we can go to the next slide, Noemi. Thank you. So I felt like it was good to start with this image because you know, it's a point of pride of I think the Seahawks and raising that the 12s flag. So I want to share with you too that we're going to talk about Alfie's career and you know, where her life, and so we're going to also talk a little bit about history of you know, Puerto Rico. We're going to talk about the military, and I want to give the disclaimer that I'm neither from Puerto Rico or have I served in the military. So if I misstate a term such as like an E5 or something like that, or if I say a word a little bit awkwardly, that's my lack of experience there. And I want to recognize if we could go to the next slide, I want to recognize the work of Legacy Washington, which is part of Secretary of State's office, who they put together a biography by John C. Hughes called What Alfie is All About. And that's where a lot of our information came from. John did an amazing job on this biography, and I figured if it was in the biography, then it was okay to share with you all. I will say this is a fantastic document, and it's well worth the read, whether you're a history major or not like me. So, okay, let's get started. All right, so Lourdes Esther Alvarado Ramos was born in 1953 on the island of Puerto Rico. She grew up in Ponce, which is Puerto Rico's second largest city. And Alfie is the eldest of 5 children raised by Luis Felito Alfredo Alvarado and Esther Ramos. And you can, that's them, that's the beautiful couple there on their wedding day in 1951. Alfie grew up in humble origins with both her parents working hard to support their family. She excelled in school and hoped to one day become a nurse. Now, if you grew up in the US education system like me, you may not have heard a whole lot about Puerto Rico. But Puerto Rico it's the island circled in red there on this map of the Caribbean, and it's about an island. It's an island about 3,500 square miles in size, with currently about 3.2 million residents. And the island was originally settled by the Taino people. And at the time of Columbus's arrival, there was an estimated 30 to 60,000 Taino natives that inhabited the island, which they called Borequín. Puerto Rico was then a Spanish colony until it was later invaded by the US in 1898. The one piece I remember from history class is around this time where they talked about Teddy Roosevelt and his Rough Riders. And after 10 weeks of the Spanish-American War, that ended with Spain ceding Cuba, Puerto Rico, the Philippines, and Guam to the United States. And it wasn't until 1917 that Puerto Ricans were granted US citizenship. However, the US continues to treat PR as a bit of a colony and not granting statehood or the ability to vote in general elections. You may remember this from the time of when Hurricane Maria hit and the lack of care and treatment that Puerto Rico received at that time. So, okay, so next slide, please. So I mentioned that Alfie had hoped to become a nurse, but the universe had slightly different plans. And while she had a letter of acceptance from Catholic University of Puerto Rico, the federal aid she needed to go to school never came through. And instead, Alfie decided to follow in her father's footsteps, and she joined the US Army. So Alfie is actually part of a long history of Puerto Ricans serving in the US military that began with 18,000 serving in World War I. And thousands of Puerto Ricans have served in every conflict since then. And that includes 9 Puerto Rican soldiers who have received the Medal of Honor. It's also a legacy that, like I said, included Alfie's father, who served with pride. And actually in 2014, Alfie was present to see a historical erection of Puerto Rico's soldiers' legacy when President Obama awarded the US Army's legendary 65th Infantry Regiment with a belated Congressional Gold Medal. And this regiment was known as the Boricuaneers, after the Taino name for Puerto Rico. And despite being tarred with insubordination and cowardice by a racist court-martial, they were one of the most decorated units of the Korean War. The unit has been called the Hispanic version of the Tuskegee Airmen, and Alfie was able to join Puerto Rico's governor and other dignitaries at a long overdue ceremony, which cleared the record and recognized the unit for their fighting against both the US's enemies and against racism. So I think it's important to frame the context of service and participation in the military, because we've often been overlooked and mistreated, and the Boricuaneers were part of that, despite fighting very hard in some of the tough battles in the Forgotten War. But let's get back to Alfie's story. So it's 1971, and Alfie decides to make this major change. She's never been off the island of Puerto Rico, never spent a night in a hotel or eaten at a restaurant or flown on an airplane. And from the Legacy Washington biography, Alfie's quoted as saying, "My adventure started the moment I raised my hand to take the enlistment oath, and my life changed completely. I had no expectations, 0 expectations. I took every day as it came, and every day was a surprise. For me, it was just the experience of doing all these new things. Now I look back and marvel. When I talk with people about life's opportunities, and for veterans, this often means starting over, trying something entirely new. I say that when it comes to new things, it's choosing excitement over fear. And this is what I unconsciously did by taking in every day and just looking at it as an adventure or something new and not being afraid of it. Even my language barrier, I was not afraid of it." Now, during basic training, Alfie had an experience that I think many of us can relate to. When her basic training squad leader declared, "Your name is too hard. We're going to have to give you a new nickname, Alfie." So that's where the legend was born. Like many of us, that squad leader couldn't pronounce her name, which, you know, is frustrating, but I think I can't imagine telling Alfie anything else. All right, so next slide. Now, looking back on when Alfie joined the Army, it's easy to overlook how different our world was back then. And for those of you who are unaware, the ban on women in combat roles wasn't lifted until 2015. And actually, when Alfie qualified for the Army's Academy of Health Services, women were not allowed to continue beyond a 3-month training course to become combat medics. So Alfie goes to basic training, and she never fires a weapon. And instead, nurses are taught to put on makeup and schooled on ladylike social graces, which it's hard to believe, right? I mean, some of the toughest women I know from the military, well, they could beat me up, I know that much. And I probably say the same about Alfie too. So yeah, it's hard to believe, but you know, there were beliefs that female medics would distract infantry soldiers, or they wouldn't be able to keep up with the physical demands of combat. And while sexual harassment and assault are still major issues in the military, you can imagine that it was significantly worse in the 70s. But Alfie stands up for herself and says, "Don't call me sweetheart," and coaches other women she serves with on how to respond to sexism and harassment. And now, for those of you who know Alfie, you know she's nothing if not a hard worker. And she embraces the lessons from her parents to be humble and be helpful. So Alfie moves from nursing to become a dental hygienist. And when she's posted to Fort Belvoir in Virginia, she competes in a Soldier of the Month competition. And by this time, she's had weapons training and she's an expert shot with a pistol. So Alfie wins Soldier of the Month for the women's company. Then she wins Soldier of the Quarter for the whole hospital, which that competition included the men at the post. And then she ends up winning Soldier of the Year of the Post for the year. She also makes the all Army bowling team. So now within 4 years, Alfie makes the rank of E5, which is a key leadership rank. And she earns her associate's and bachelor's degrees. And after just 17 years, she reaches the top of the enlisted ranks, which is E9 or Master Sergeant. And in 1990, Alfie becomes the first female troop command sergeant at Joint Base Lewis McChord, and the first female sergeant major at Madigan Army Medical Center in Fort Lewis. And while she's there, she trains and retrains National Guard troops to form a new company to fight in Desert Storm. So yeah, there's a lot of firsts there, I have to point out as well. Alfie is really a trailblazer. Okay, next slide. Okay, and I'm going to turn this part over to our admin, Noemi.
Hi, everybody. Thank you. Let me put a spotlight here. There we go. Hi, I'm Noemi Solorzano Thompson, and it's my pleasure to read this quote and then tell you about, for those of you who are not familiar with the history of our country and particularly the history of our armed forces. This is a quote from the biography that Tony mentioned. And at the end of the presentation, I will put a link to the biography so that all of you could read it. So this quote says, "When I was discovering that side of me, I saw the witch hunts when people were turning on others, especially women, for being gay. I saw capable, dedicated people being discharged from the Army. As I progressed in the ranks, I had the opportunity to influence some of these decisions and protect people. My commanders, for the most part, knew I was gay. It was something I never hid, but I never flaunted it either. It was just who I was." And again, this is a quote from Alfie, referring to, of course, for those of you not familiar, in 1993, a new law was created. Prior to 1993, it was not possible for people who were out to serve, parts of the LGBTQ plus community, to serve in the military. In 1993, President Clinton passed what is now known as Don't Ask, Don't Tell, which was, again, a little bit more inclusive, but as the name tells us, people were not allowed to be out still, and they were not allowed to be outed either. Fortunately, all of this has changed, and later on in the biography, there's another quote from Alfie that says that today she is very happy to see all sorts of families at Lewis McChord Base, including LGBTQ plus couples and their children living on base. So just wanted to talk a little bit about this activism during difficult times and how she, as she continues today, she continues to protect people, all people. Back to Tony.
Yeah, and I want to mention too, growing up during this time, you kind of heard about these things, so I had to do some research, and I was reading that the Biden administration has provided upgraded benefits for those who may have been discharged during this time. And so if you know somebody that may have been dishonorably discharged because of this, that they may be eligible for some level of benefits. So I apologize for not having the information on hand, but Google it. It's really important to recognize everybody for their service and rectify this. So yes, thank you. Okay. Next slide, please. So Alfie joins the ranks of your Department of Veterans Affairs in 1993 as the Associate Administrator for the Soldiers' Home in Oregon. She makes the transition from military service to public service. And her next stop then is in 1997, overseeing the Veterans Home at Port Orchard, which is the largest of the Veterans Affairs 4 facilities. Alfie continues to work her way up the ranks at the Department of Veterans Affairs, and she's selected for Harvard University's Kennedy School of Executive Training program and the Executive Management program at the University of Washington. So then in 2012, Governor Jay Inslee is elected, and he appoints Alfie to director of your Department of Veterans Affairs. Now, as director, as in all of her roles, Alfie's worked tirelessly to serve those who have served our country. Now, there's around 5,000 soldiers and airmen who are discharged from Joint Base Lewis McChord each year, and Washington is home to over 500,000 veterans. And the Department of Veterans Affairs helps veterans connect to the benefits and services they earned through their military service, which unfortunately isn't as easy as we would hope. Like any sort of bureaucracy, there are always challenges, and DVA works really hard to support our veterans. In fact, they operate, like I said, 4 veterans homes for honorably discharged vets and their spouses who need long-term care. Alfie's worked tirelessly to address homelessness for veterans, and she's also played a major role in suicide prevention efforts for veterans, such as the 988 suicide prevention emblem that generates awareness for the 988 crisis lifeline. I've personally been in some meetings with Alfie for Results Washington, and she tells it like it is, and she makes her point clear and firm because she knows that veterans are depending on her, and that she's the voice for them, which it's really hard to be brave in those times, but she does it, and I think you all should be very proud of her for that. Some of her other accomplishments include creation of the Women's Veteran Advisory Committee that ensures Washington's women veterans have equitable access to federal and state veteran services and benefits. And over her time leading the department, they've received many awards at the agency. And like I mentioned earlier with that earlier photo, perhaps one of the coolest things is she got to raise that 12 flag at the Seahawks game. So Alfie is now going on a well-deserved permanent vacation, and we hope that she will enjoy that time with her spouse, San Juanita. So I think now we have some messages, and we wanted to provide space because I know that a lot of you have connection and relationship to Alfie. Personally, Alfie, you've just meant the world to me. And you know, growing up, we didn't have a lot of role models to follow, and our histories were kind of pushed under the rug. So it's just been so exciting to see you leading an agency and the work that you've done. You know, growing up in the 80s, veterans weren't necessarily treated very well. It was something that I think we've seen shift over time, and we've been better as a country about recognizing the work that our veterans have done and trying to support them. And I think that you've really done incredible work there, and that's something to be really proud of. You've meant a lot to us at the Latino Leadership Network as our executive sponsor, and pushing us to do better and bigger and bolder things, but also helping us make connections and calling folks to come help us as well. Monica has a couple messages she'd like that we want to share too from folks who weren't able to be here today.
Thank you, Tony. Can you hear me? Okay, great. Alfie, it's my privilege and honor to read you a few messages from some LLN members past. This first one is from Maria Seguenza. Alfie, for the last almost decade, I have had the privilege to learn from you, seek advice and guidance from you, and watch you lead an agency so gracefully. I know I'm not alone in saying that whenever I needed anything, you always so enthusiastically said yes. You have been a mentor, a beacon, and while I know you are not going far, I will miss your quiet, confident, and comforting presence. Thank you for your leadership and friendship all these years, Maria. And then I have another one here from Marlene White, who is a former LLN co-chair. Alfie, my time serving with the LLN was an incredible journey and a great experience for me. Watching you lead an agency while also participating in multiple other endeavors, like being one of my volunteers for the early Latinx Youth Summit, was truly inspiring. It was a true honor having you close by as our executive sponsor during my time with the LLN. I learned so much from you, and that experience has positively influenced me and my leadership style. I can't imagine how many young Latinas have been immensely influenced by you. I know I'm just one of the many. Thank you. Marlene also included, plug to meeting participants. Back in 2015, I took a leap of faith and raised my hand to volunteer as the co-chair, and that experience greatly enriched my life. I encourage anyone in this meeting to rise up and take the chance on serving for LLN. Not only will you learn a lot alongside our community, you will also build long-lasting relationships. Thank you, Marlene White, LLN co-chair 2015-2017. And if now's okay, I'd like to add my personal thank you to you, Alfie. And I'm going to try to not be emotional, but I'm already failing. I just have to say it's been tremendously inspiring to have you and your leadership, not just for your many, many accomplishments, but for a very selfish reason. You sound like the women that raised me and my family. And so it's so important to see you in this position and to know that all of these dreams are possible for the ancestors that came here and that brought us, and for some of us that were just born here. So you sound like us, you look like us, you've always been proud of us, and you have opened so many doors for us. And I appreciate you wholeheartedly. And so I held it together for as long as I could, and now I'm going to mute so I don't cry anymore. But Alfie, thank you so much for being here and for being such an inspiration. Tony, I'll pass it back to you.
Okay, well, so I'm actually going to open the floor. You can either put something in the chat if you're worried about getting emotional, like Monica and myself, or if you'll raise a hand, we'll call on you. I'm gonna go for first. Sorry, Juan, Abby beat you. So we'll start with Abby, and then Juan, you can go.
Yes, I beat Juan. So for those of you that don't know me, I was the coach or the chair before Tony. And I had been participating with LLN since, oh gosh, what was it? Like 2017, 2018, I think it was. It was back before the charter was even formed. And I had actually met Alfie during my regular job auditing Department of Veterans Affairs. So, and back then, like, I just loved your presence. It was, you have such a calming demeanor about you. It's strong. It's definitely a leadership demeanor, but you were easy to talk to. And if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have taken that leap like Marlene and raised my hand to lead LLN. I've said this many, many times that when I grew up, I wanted to be like you. And Renee, who has already taken his permanent vacation, he would tell me, no, you don't. You don't get to see behind the scenes. But you have truly been an inspiration. And every day something would come up with work, I would think, what would Alfie do in this situation? So Alfie, you have been such an inspiration. You have been such a great leader for LLN and for all of us Latinas that are in state government. So thank you. And it has been an honor getting to be in your presence.
All right, thank you, Abby. All right, Juan, you're up next.
Thank you, Tony. And true, Abby always beat me. So what's new? So I want to say that I am so grateful for the intersection, for this life's journey that caused us to intersect. And when I say us, it's all of us here. And those of us that took a chance on this vision, on this desire to fulfill a legacy that became our legacy. I know that Alfie's legacy became my legacy, and my legacy became a lot of people's legacy as we look towards helping to create, co-create a more inclusive Washington state, a place for belonging that didn't exist before this. I can tell you from 20 some years ago, almost probably 30 years ago, my first encounter at Department of Health, where I knew that the job that I had filled was not meant for me, and what that felt like, and how things are different, and how you know, we wonder sometimes what individual contributions mean to people down the line. Well, Alfie has been doing this consistently for many years. I'm not sure that Marlene adequately described raising her hand. I don't remember raising my hand. I think we were directed to do this. We were locked up in a room, and there was 5 of us, I believe, that were left in the room. Alfie left us in the room, and she wanted us to do an LLN reset. And I think she made 3 visits back to us, kind of find out, kind of like the judge does to the jury. So where are you at? What's going to happen here? And we finally got the hint that she was not going to leave us alone until we decided who was going to do what. So we drew straws, and I ended up being the chair for LLN, Marlene co-chair, and so forth. Victor had graciously volunteered part-time. Victor Andino, I don't know if he's here today, but he'd volunteered part-time to do a little bit of communications work, and it consumed him. So I am really glad for the example of leadership that she has been for all of us. For me, it was significant. I was also Army, and I really appreciated the fact that Alfie rose through the ranks. She didn't take a position that she hadn't earned. She had gone through the ranks. And it meant a lot to me that she could push us towards excellence, because that's what she did a lot. And I needed that challenge during that time, is driving towards excellence for who and what for all of us, and for those that come after us. That's what the zeal all of a sudden took on. The meaning for me is that I didn't want anybody to experience what I had experienced at Department of Health 30 years ago. I wanted people to feel included, like they belonged. So what was it that we could do in this small space of time? Because time just goes by so quickly. What could we do? I thank Alfie for giving me that sense of urgency. We needed to do things during the space of time. What can we do? So that drive towards excellence, that legacy-minded leadership, and unequal support. I mean, whatever we desired to do, to take risks on, she was there to do it and to push us. Sometimes I thought we were on the edge. She'd go, "Oh man, that's really conservative." That's really conservative. Go whole hog, I think is one of her terms. Just go whole hog, So I've appreciated it. Tony brought up a lot of stuff that she is who she is. She is as authentic can get, whether it's with the governor or it's with one of us. So Alfie, thank you so much for continuing, even now. The relationship between a sponsor and chair might have ended, but my commitment to that legacy has not. And I challenge others that are here today that have not had the experience of serving to step up. And we now have a group of people that have been Alfie-sized, so that we can continue to mentor and provide encouragement and direction, just like we received from her. The legacy will live on, Alfie, there's no doubt about it. So thank you so much for, number one, your leadership, your friendship, your vision, and your love of this work.
All right, thank you, Juan. So in the chat, Andrew Norton said, "Thank you for your service to our community and our country, Alfie." Herminia said, "Alfie, como te agradecemos, you are a light." Vanessa says, "Thank you, Alfie, you are a leader, a light, and a big inspiration. I appreciate you and lessons I've learned these past months while at LLN." Oh, I see Larry's got his hand up. Thank you for joining us, Larry. Larry Delgado, LLN member, and also the chair of VERG. So please go for it, Larry.
Thank you, Tony, for the invitation. Thank you, Alfie, for everything that you've done for the community. As a former soldier myself, there are few times when you come across leaders that you will tell them, "Ma'am, sir, if you need me, call me and I'll be there." Regardless of the position, regardless of the deployment, if you need me, I'll be there. And you are one of those leaders that just are the epitome of selflessness, of blazing a path, and just bring those behind you up to the level to succeed in professional and personal adventures. So I want to say, thank you for the role model that you are. I have 4 daughters, and I can, aside from their mother, I can point to you and say, this is what you can accomplish if you put your heart and mind behind it. So I want to say, thank you for the mentorship, for the friendship, for the leadership that you've provided in removing the doubt that I had as I transitioned out of military service into state government. to say to heck with it and blaze the path and knock down those obstacles without fear of repercussions or whatever the future may have. So thank you for providing me with the confidence to acknowledge the value that my military service brings into state government, and to bring that along and to show that. There's a quote that I saw that said, employees can't be what they can't see. And when they see leaders like yourself at the top of their game, it provides them that motivation and that belief that they can rise to the highest ranks. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Godspeed to you. I wish you nothing but the best. And it's been an absolute pleasure to have known you and to continue our friendship.
All right, thank you, Larry. Next up, we have Veronica Hand. Hi, Vero.
Laura Mahan. Hey, Tony. Hi, everybody. It's very good to be here. Alfie, what can I tell you? I'm gonna cry again too. Sorry, I didn't want to talk because I knew I was gonna cry, but I'll get it together. I want to say I was able to experience all the work that you did for veterans. I'm sorry. I gotta be able to do it. Just bear with me. My husband, ex-husband, we're legally separated. He's 100% disabled veteran. So even before joining the work with the state, I was able to see all the services that you have made possible, you and your leadership and your team, for veterans. And it's been amazing. I don't have the words right now, but I lived them, I experienced them, we used them, he still uses them, and he's alive thanks to those services, to tell you the truth. For me, I had to leave him because he has a lot of issues. So it was something very close to domestic violence. And that's when I joined the state. And one of the first things I did when I joined the state with my job there, it was working with Marlene to just start booking the rooms at LNI for the events. And with that, I saw what you were doing and the job that you were leading with LLN, and I decided to join. For me, it was a time where I didn't believe in myself very much. And you brought that back to me. I'm sorry. You believed in me the first time we met, like one-on-one, and you always provided me a lot of guidance. So I want to thank you because I've been able to have a career, a new career here in America, in Washington State with the State Department. I was able to help with LLN and bring what I could to the table. But again, thanks to your encouragement and to see what you believed in me, I was able to keep going and start a new career. That was 5, almost 6 years ago. I love my job. I love my life. And you have always been, like Maria said, the beacon, inspiration. What else can we say? I know I'm not saying anything that you haven't heard before, but I know that the same way you have touched my life, you have touched hundreds and hundreds of lives, maybe thousands. So thank you, Alfie. And I apologize for crying. Sorry, I didn't want to cry. That's why I was waiting and waiting. But anyway, it's just coming from the heart.
Thank you, Vero. It's okay. Passion is good. That's the impact Alfie's had. Okay. In the chat we have Daniel Gomez, who says, Alfie, I always felt your beautiful existence and purpose in every hug and smile. Who else? Raise your hand. I know you. I mean, Veronica wasn't afraid to get up and let the emotion flow. So please don't be afraid to speak. All right, Indira.
It's all right. So
Alfie, I I wish I would have prepared something because I tend to talk too much on there. And I just want to say thank you for your leadership, as everyone has mentioned so far. And when I look at you, I see the role model, and I see a role model of a Latina. And that is very important, right? That's why representation matters, because I can see, like, hey, you know, I can, being an immigrant in this country and having new careers and all these pivot that we do when we move, or when I move here, and being successful and being a great leader, give me that hope, inspiration to be like you, and believe it. Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, Noemi.
Thank you, Tony. I will try also not to be overly emotional. I don't know if that's possible, but I wanted to share that, since the moment that I've met Alfie, she's been so welcoming and, also brought me into having a position where I could be of help at LLN. But I also wanted to share an anecdote that I already shared with Alfie that I was very much touched with, but I have a colleague who shall remain nameless. They're not part of this community at LLN, but it was somebody who has not been very proud of their military service. Long story, we don't have to get into that, but they interacted with Alfie recently, and Alfie gave them a medal and recognized them from their service. And immediately that person texted me the photo of her and Alfie and the medal and posted in their social media saying, Alfie has made me so proud of my service in a way that I haven't felt proud in decades. And that was just a short interaction. I mean, that is Alfie to a minute, like everybody she touches, from long interactions to short interactions, she literally changes lives. And again, as a Latina, it's so important for me to see another person who has worked so hard and achieved so much. And it's an inspiration. We need more role models like Alfie, and I do often think of myself, what would Alfie do? And I will continue doing that. And, gracias por todo.
All right. Well, Alfie, is there anything you'd like to say?
Yes, I would. Give me the opportunity, and I always have something to say. And I want to encourage you not to be shy. Whenever you're given the opportunity, take it. Whether it's in your work, whether it's in your church, whether it's out there in the community, when you have an opportunity to be able to speak, even if it is something short, take it, because that's what increases your personal capital, people getting to know you, to understand your values, and that is something that is important. Most everything was said already, but I would tell you that people ask me in state government, wow, you were a trailblazer, you did all these things, that were the first. Well, let me tell you who my mentors were in state government. Kathy Barros-Freed, who during the early 90s was the director of the Department of Licensing, Latina. Linda Villegas Bremer, the director of general administration, which is now DES, during that time, Latina. And also, we had Sadie Hawkins, who was the principal budget person for OFM during that time in the early 90s. So I had a lot of mentors, examples of Latinas who were successful that paved the way for me to be able to be where I am. And I will tell you, I know that a moment ago, I saw online Hilma Meneses, who is the secretary of DSHS. If you're still there, Hilma, thank you. Here we have another example of a Latina in an incredibly important position in state government, who I know you're going to get to know better in a not very far future. I've been in the state government for 30 years now. My last day is going to be on the 31st. And I will tell you that I live with a song in my heart. And it's because of people like you, people who have all kinds of possibilities, who are the future of state government. And all of that has to do with being able to contribute as a community, not just doing your job, but extending yourselves to be able to serve, like in LLN, who is an incredible organization, and finding ways of being able to help Latinos come into state government and stay, because we need to make sure that they have a welcoming voice in your own agencies for those Latinos to come in and feel valued, and that they have somebody who's going to be taking care of them and be able to do that transition into state government. So, you know, as all of you said, I just appreciate everybody so very much. Thank you for the kind words from everybody. Latinos have a big role in the boards and commissions in Washington State. And this is something, you know, I have been preaching, because we need to have our faces or our voices in the advisory committees for the governor. Recently, we had, you know, we had one of our members or previous members who is now a member of one of the big boards and commissions, and that's Veronica Hand. It took her about 1.5 years, Veronica, to be able to get in that board, but now we have a voice who came from LLN at one time, applied for the commissions because got inspired to do that, and now she's part of a board, you know, that is really important when it comes to trade and business. So your interests are interests that could be used by state government in other roles other than your job. So keep the learning, keep attending the lunch and learns that are being offered. Help to be able to make sure that LLN continues, you know, being a developing organization and a learning organization. And the person that I hope that you'll be able to work with in the future is David Puente. He's our deputy for WDBA. And I know he's already met with some of you to be able to see what's going to be the continuation of this amazing organization. So thank you for everything and for spending this time with me today. And I just wish you all incredible things, and know that sí se puede. Choose excitement over fear, because you attract what you project. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Love you too.
Well, thank you, Alfie. Oh, gotta take a breath. I managed to say my piece without breaking into tears too. So yes, I thank you everybody for your kind words. Thank you, Alfie, for your service. I will say it's also just nice to see a lot of faces I haven't seen for a while. One last thing I'll share is I remember Marlene getting us space at one of the buildings that we were meeting at for a board meeting, and looking around and realizing it was the first time in my professional career, and honestly probably my student career, of being in a room of just Latino leaders. And that was something on the drive home where I got emotional about, because you know, it's just we had Alfie, we had Juan and Marlene leading us, and I don't know. So thank you, Alfie. Thank you, Juan, and to the other LLN leaders, because I wouldn't have imagined this sort of thing was possible growing up. So thank you. Okay, let's take a deep breath. Maybe it's just me that needs a deep breath, and we'll move on into our next part of the agenda, which is looking back at our year of 2022. So, Noemi, if we could get the slide back up, because we had a very active year in 2022 with a wide variety of events. We were pushing through the pandemic, and honestly, I think we've come out, we're stronger than we were before. And I think part of it is the fact that we can all participate across the state, which has always been a challenge for us. So next slide, please. And I'm going to ask my other LLN leaders to talk about some of these events as well. Now you'll see that QR code over on the right. That'll actually take you to our YouTube channel, where you can see some of the events that we talk about, plus prior meetings. So please go check it out. There's a lot of really great information. I still go back and watch the presentation that Lolo gave around applying for positions. I haven't had to do that since starting my new job, but that's one of my favorites. So we're going to just talk about some of the monthly events. Back in January, we had Megan Matthews, who's now with the Office of Equity, come and talk about universal basic income, and gave a presentation on poverty reduction in our state. And then in February, we had Tara Smith, who's the director of the Department of Enterprise Services, come and she did a meet and greet with us, which was very exciting. She was new in the position at the time. And we also featured a conversation and presentation on Afro-Latinx representation, because it was Black History Month. And then in March, hey, Monica, would you mind talking about our March event? Because you were the one who made it all happen.
Oh, happy to. It was many hands make light work. I had great participation in that event, and for Women's History Appreciation Month, we did a panel with some of our state professionals, internal and external, and it was really great to have not only that panel have the ability to speak to our network, but they were open for questions, and it was a wonderful interactive panel. And April, did you want to talk about April?
Yes, just making sure I hadn't muted myself. And I'm trying to remember who was on our panel though for March. I remember Pilar Pacheco was.
Josefina
and
Monica.
And what are Josefina and Monica's last names?
Monica's last name is escaping me right now, but Josefina, I think, is here today. I think I saw
Monica Alexander, sorry.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And Josefina, I don't, oh, maybe they had to drop off.
Okay.
I always say it wrong. Manganya. Did I say it right?
Magana.
Oh, I always get the N wrong.
Well, we're not gonna change her name and start calling her Alfie or something like Alfie had to go through. Okay, so then in April at our general membership meeting, we had an intro to accessibility, where we talked about doing things like alternative text and making your documents accessible. And then we hosted breakout rooms for conversation. Some of our goals, by the way, are to create comunidad for Latino state employees, to provide high quality professional development, and then also to increase the representation of Latinos in state employment, and especially leaders in state employment. So that's where you see some themes with the different events. And then again in May, we had Lori Finks from DSHS come back and give us an update on the universal basic income. We also featured Professor Gino Eisenberg from the University of Washington's Latino Center for Health, and he came and he talked about mental health and some of the programs that they've done throughout the state to improve access and use of mental health services for Latinos. I would highly recommend checking out their website and reading through their materials. They've got a lot of great stuff that they've done on policy. And they've even teamed up with the Department of Labor and Industries on language access issues. Then in June, we had our elections. We also then had a separate lunch and learn on the power of identity, which was, we partnered with the Rainbow Alliance Inclusion Network, because it was a conversation on intersectionality of the LGBTQ+ and Latino XA communities. Let's see, I'm trying to remember, Jovita and Steve, did you help organize that? Or I'm seeing Jovita nod. Is there anything you'd like to share about the event? We didn't record this event.
It was with Rain, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it was in cooperation with Rain and DI and LLN.
Yeah, it was that the one where Manny Santiago was part of it, or was that a different?
I think that was a different one.
Okay, that was one we'd done in Hispanic Heritage Month the year before. Okay, sorry, folks. Okay, thank you, Jovita. So then in July, we did an introduction to the board for our general membership meeting. And then we had a lunch and learn. Monica, I believe you helped put together that lunch and learn. Would you mind sharing with the group about that?
Sure, absolutely. We're on July, right? The self-guided imagery?
Yes.
Yes. That was an opportunity that we had at DOH to do meditation, and they had offered it in Espanol. And I thought that was so special, because how often do we get to hear that in workplace settings? So that was something that I was really excited to bring to LLN, just so that we could also have some self-guided imagery or that sort of self-soothing technique accessible to us within a language that most of us like to interact with still outside of the workplace, and it's nice to have it in the workplace.
Okay. Oh, and I'm seeing, thank you, Noemi. She's reminding me that the intersectionality panel, Sedona Leza, Amber Coleman, and Abby Coleman. Sedona, I think you're in the building. Would you mind talking a little bit about that, that lunch and learn?
Sure. I actually kind of forgot about it until so I was gonna say something, and then I was like, wait, do I actually have anything to share about this that have all my memories deleted themselves? But with Noemi's little jump start there, it was really cool to have a mom who was an ally and her daughter be the other two members of the discussion. So it was definitely like their experience and then my experience. So it would have been nice to have like a third party to not be so like, here are two very different, like kind of contradictory examples, and like that's it. But also, you know, it kind of helped show the messiness of these overlapping Venn diagrams. So yeah, it was a good discussion.
All right, thank you, Sedona. Yeah, that was one where I will admit again, I think I had to turn off my camera because I got a bit weepy, because it was very heartfelt and good conversations to have, because there's a lot of challenges there. Hey, Monica, can I tap you again for our August general membership meeting? Because I was in Uganda at the time. So
yeah, absolutely. But first I wanted to see if maybe Amber wanted to share something about participating in that panel as well. And I know Amber's here. No pressure.
No, thank you. This is Amber. I just it was a gift. You know, it was one of the things that, you know, sometimes when you look at your story, it's a little messy. And I just really appreciate the daughter that I have and how much she has taught me. And so I just want to thank LLN because you gave Abby and I a gift in terms of being able to share that story. And there's so much power in our stories. And so just leaning into the learning, the parts of how we own where we need to learn. And so I just really appreciate this space, and I appreciate LLN. And I know if Abby was here today, they would say the same thing. So thank you. I know that I left feeling encouraged and Abby left feeling seen. So that was a gift. Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing that, Amber. And it was a gift on a lot of different levels. And I think what I enjoy the most about looking at our year in review in this list format is to see how well-rounded this group is becoming, and has always strived to be versatile and not so myopic, and just have many different opportunities to be our authentic selves in the many different ways, shapes, and forms that we come into this group. So that was a pivotal panel for me as well, because I also felt seen and heard and valued and supported, and that's new for me. So it was a wonderful panel. And for August, to jump back to where we were, and for August, we provided a lean practices overview by a lean practices I forget her belt designation. For me, she's the ultimate lean practitioner here at DOH. And they do really amazing best practices meetings, and they help us learn that professional development aspect of lean processes. And we wanted to bring that to our LLN network. And that's exactly what we did for the Lunch and Learn. And I think that's some of the commitment that we're trying to make sure that we honor throughout the years, is helping with that professional development and putting opportunities like that in front of our network so that we can all learn a little bit more and expand in our expertise. And Tony, I'll pass it back to you to cover December.
All right. Well, so we'll cover September and October, because that was Hispanic Heritage Month. Remember, we're the odd group out, because we start with Mexican Independence Day, and then we got upgraded from a week to a month. So we'll cover that, and then we usually take November to catch our breath after Hispanic Heritage Month. But then in December, we met. We had Charla at our general membership meeting, a chance to just connect and again build community and talk with each other. And then you all got to hear my not great Spanish as we played Loteria, which has become a little bit of a fun tradition where we just get to play a game together. So that's during, also over the course of the year, we had regular committee meetings, including the DEI committee, which has continued to meet monthly. Really, I want to congratulate Ovita and Steve on their great work leading that group and the discussions that have been had. If you're not able to attend a general membership meeting, that's always a great group to join and learn about DEI topics, and just have conversations with some great leaders in the space as well. Okay, so let's get to Hispanic Heritage Month. So we began the month with a kickoff event. This was several years in the making. Something that at the beginning of 2020, we were planning an in-person event, and then it became unsafe to gather. And so it got pushed off to 2021, and we were planning with the state parks. I think I saw Michaela Croyne in the audience. State Parks has been a fantastic partner for us. So in 2021, we had an event planned and then had to decide to move to a virtual events because it was, again, not safe to gather. But this year we did it. And in 2022, we had a lot of hard work planning from Sedona and Vanessa, and it's a big list. It's the group you see in that top right picture made it all happen. Martha made the food happen, along with getting the some really cool LLN swag together. And We met at Miller Sylvania State Park. It's a beautiful location with a keynote speaker of our Washington State Supreme Court's Chief Justice, Stephen Gonzalez. Thank you, Jovita, for making that connection happen. He gave just a fantastic speech that you can see on TVW. It's still available. I think you might have to watch me speak for a little bit of that, but you can fast forward through it. We also, again, thank you to the partnership with State Parks. We had musical performances by Angeli Silva and Sabor, Trio Guadalupe. And then we had a dance lesson with Oli Dance, which is that bottom right-hand image where we had Rudy from Oli Dance teaching us salsa and bachata. But yeah, it was just a wonderful day. We had live music in the state park, beautiful location. We played, again, Loteria. We were able to play it in person. You can see, I think that's my son's hand. You can see we had the beans for our board markers. We had food supplied by El Pobrecito, Alfajores de Olympia, and well, Marta, I may need your help. I'm forgetting the third, but we had pupusas, tamales, alfajores. I don't know. We had a bunch of really yummy food. So you know, that doesn't tempt you to come to the kickoff event this year. Just know that there was a lot of yummy food. We had sponsors for the event that I want to recognize. We had first, I want to call out the Washington State Employees Credit Union, which provided sponsorship for LLN and the other business resource groups. We also had sponsorship from your Department of Veterans Affairs, the Liquor and Cannabis Board, and the Washington State Parks. I'll say, if you, number one, if you are interested in helping make another event like this happen, please let us know. Another way you might be able to help with that is as we start to reach out for sponsorship. If you know somebody at your agency or you would like to help make a sponsorship request, you know, that way we can, you know, again, have food and music and speakers. It's part of how we make it happen. So again, I want to say especially thank you to Michaela, who's was a fantastic partner, along with Jeff Asalo. Oh, Michaela, I'm sorry, I'm forgetting everybody else's names. And I don't know, they were just wonderful to work with, and it was a beautiful, beautiful day and event. A little bit cold though. So, okay, so then next we had also a whole host of virtual events. We did weekly events for Lunch and Learns. The first was Lenguaje and Latinidad. Hey, Sedona, can I tap on you to talk a little bit about that event?
Of course. We did a little, the two, that one and the What's in a Name one were kind of like hand in hand created. So the Lenguaje and Latinidad conversation was more focused on what overlapping like labels and categories belong in the or are part of the Latino, Latina, I forget what word to use now. And then how, especially the ones that we don't immediately think of, like what, particularly like Asian and Jewish presence in Latinidad. And the one that I wish I had more focus on would be Afro-Latino presence for that conversation. And then the What's in the Name one was more historically based, and we like got into the census history of what name our community was given in that every decade. So.
Yeah, thank you, Sedona. They were really well attended and got great feedback on them. I think too, it's conversations around, who are we talking about when we're talking about Latinidad or Comunidad, and oftentimes that's dictated by people outside of our community. But that's why I think it was really important and impactful that Sedona led these and put them together to help expand and be a more inclusive community. So thank you, Sedona. It was great. These are also all available again on our YouTube channel. If you weren't able to attend, you can go back and rewatch it. I will say I wasn't able to attend at the time and went back and rewatched them, and they're really outstanding.
And then for the other two listed there, Jovita was instrumental in coordinating and communicating with those pillars of our community.
Yeah, Jovita, would you mind talking a little bit about our conversation with Master Araguini?
Sure. I was trying to look up the flyers we did for them, but I'll just wing it. So with Maestro Araguin, it was, we called it a conversation with Maestro Alfredo Araguin. And it was mostly about, his art form and his inspiration, the type of the art that he produces and where he gets his inspiration. And a little bit of, I read his biography because he's from Michoacan, Mexico. If some of you didn't know that or don't know about him, again, the YouTube video I think is out there, so you can go out and look at it. It was a great conversation with him and learn more about him personally. The next one that we did was with Bailadores de Bronce, and they've been in Seattle since 1972. So it's Adriano Olivas is their executive director. So he came on and did a presentation on Mexican folklore and dance. And just, again, history of Mexican folkloric dancing, especially Bailadores de Bronce. We had some awesome videos of Bailadores de Bronce performing. And then he discussed the history behind each dance and the types of music. As some of you know, you always think of mariachi music when you think of Mexican music or folkloric dancing, but there's norteñas and all kinds of other music, especially if you're from the Caribbean, and the dance that comes from like the Yucatan Peninsula and different areas like that. So it's actually a very interesting history on Mexican dance or Mexican folkloric dancing. So I was really happy to have them do these lunch and learns for everyone.
I really like too in
thank
that.
you, Tony.
Oh no, sorry, were you not done?
No, I saw that Tony's putting the links, I think. For one of the things.
I just, going off of what you just said, I was really happy with that presentation as well, to see the regional differences. He shared clips of like a northern dance and then a more, I believe, like southern coastal kind of dance, and it was cool to see the differences in costume and music and steps and so much
Yeah,
to it.
much more to it than we think.
Yeah.
And so for next year, I'm scheming to still have 4 events again, although if you have ideas for what or who would be a good person to be in those, I'm still brainstorming and totally open to. Also, I know that there were some people who expressed interest in, I don't know if it was just event planning in general or if it was the virtual events in particular, but I have your email contact and I will be sending an email out like probably February to start scheming on virtual events. The in-person events are handled by Diana. So, and then
Yeah.
the one other thing I was scheming was that even though it is after Hispanic Heritage Month, to do a Dia de los Muertos virtual altar. So that is also something to be excited for this year.
Yeah, and I want to share the first link I shared is Arts Washington website, and you can actually it tells you where you know, some of these are in schools, but they're where you can see Maestro Aragon's paintings throughout Washington. You know, you might be able to make a trip over to the Department of Ecology and see his painting, The Froth. So just
We have two
opportunities. Oh,
ecology.
ooh, fancy.
We have two of his paintings.
Then the other is a link to Bailadores de Bronce. You know, one of the things that they mentioned is they hold rehearsals and beginner classes. So if you're interested in, or you're either in learning and being part of that group, or you know, your kids participating, that was something they mentioned. So, and then Morgan, I see you talking about an in-person event in Eastern and Central Washington. Is that you volunteering? Because we would love to do something outside of Olympia.
It could be. I work at one of the RHCs in Yakima or in Sela, so I know that we have a lot of diverse workforce that I could recruit. I'm unfortunately not Latina. I'm an ally, but I speak Spanish, and I'm here for the party. So
you are welcome to join. You're not going to be the only one on the board who is an ally. If you wanted to take that extra step,
I think we could do it. I think about 80% of our employees here are Hispanic or Latin.
Yeah, well, we fully encourage allies. We need all the help we can get. And I think that takes us to our next slide to talk about the future. Well, thank you very much, Secretary Meneses. We really appreciate having you join us today. Okay, so I realize this is a bigger room. Oftentimes we split into breakout rooms, but we wanted to ask for your feedback, your thoughts on what you would like to see in 2023. Mentioned, you know, we want to do another kickoff event, but honestly, I would also maybe like to meet and just provide smaller gatherings too in the meantime. Yes, thank you, Juan. It was really good to see you. Really appreciate you joining as well. So we're going to open the floor up. You can either put comments in the chat or raise your hand and let us know what would you like to see. What types of topics? What types of who would you like us to feature and reach out to as potential speakers? And then also, you know, if you raise your hand to volunteer, that's always a way to help the conversations move along and the things actually happen too, because we have a lot on our plates. So with that, I'm going to stop talking and share the floor with y'all.
And there was a question about whether or not we're recording this session. We are, so that we can remember what everybody is brainstorming. So the recording is still on.
And if there's something that you'd like to share or request, or something that you don't feel comfortable saying in front of the group, you can always email us at LLN@ofm.wa.gov, or you could also message me directly or I'm not going to volunteer anybody else without checking with them first, but yeah, you can contact me or our LLN email. Oh, Andrea, thank you. Oh, you're on mute though.
Sorry. I don't think that we've had them speak before because I'm pretty sure it's a fairly new program, but Department of Natural Resources has a team focused on environmental equity now. And I know they spoke at one DNR Aquatics Lunch and Learn that I heard. So I think that they would be really fitting for this group. And I could certainly try and figure out like who the contact would be to come and speak for us. So I can email you, Tony, or whoever would be best to get in touch with.
Yes, please. And then Naomi, can I have your help typing the email into the chat? Thank you, Andrea. So I have a question too. Like we're talking, health equity is something that's I've seen talked about at DOH, environmental equity or environmental justice. What about like language access or other programs out there like that? Is there interest in speakers or programs like that?
Yeah, I'm interested in that. I don't know about DNR perspective, what is done at DNR for that. I've actually heard in my positions pushback on it, which is not surprising at the Department of Natural Resources, unfortunately. So I think that's something that for DNRs would be wrapped up into that and would be like something that I could specifically ask them about.
Thank you. Oh, thank you, Sam. So Sam said, be ready to grow is helps organizations implement well-being programs for their employees. Their workshops provide mental, physical, and emotional health using evidence-based practices. So that could be really great. And you're making me realize, did we touch on, we had an event. Sorry, you all are watching me trying to remember on the fly. There was an event that we did in partnership with other BRGs on mental health. I can't remember if it was last 2021 or 2022. I apologize for my poor memory. Daniel, hey, it's good to see you. Oh, I think you're on mute.
Tony, the one with Ben and Jocelyn was 2021, just FYI.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, still can't hear you. Okay, he's going to type for us instead. Let's see, Angela, in the meantime, Angela Vera Webster, would you mind talking a little bit more about that community advisory board? You mind if I call on you?
No, not a problem at all. So it's really kind of from the ground floor. We're looking for community advisory board members, sort of a mix between the state folks who are in the state apparatus and those who are outside of it. So those who are the recipients of various services that we provide. Essentially what you would be doing, you'd be part of a body that would be providing the State Office of Equity with its priorities. So it's an opportunity to sort of get in on the ground floor with a new office that is really committed to helping all Washingtonians feel like they belong here in the state of Washington. It's just super new. We would really be taking our cues from the advisory board members. And I think having Latinos be part of this is going to be critical. I myself I'm Latina. I'm here in Eastern Washington. So we are looking for that regional diversity as well. It'd be great to get someone from Central or Eastern, but it's passion. We're looking for folks who are passionate. We are looking for people who are unafraid to kind of blaze forward without a really kind of strong blueprint in place. We'd be building it ourselves. So I would really encourage folks to, once we start to launch the application, to apply if you can, or if you know someone that you think would be a great representative, to send that. So we're working on all that now. I'm happy to provide more information as it comes along.
Yeah, thank you very much, Angela. Yeah, we would love to if you send us the information, we'll provide it in our newsletter, and we'd love to be part of that. The Office of Equity is doing just fantastic work, and we appreciated the opportunity to be part of the Equity Summit in December. It seems like it was years ago now, but yeah, thank you for hosting that, and really just exciting work that's happening there. So, and yeah, and again, if we can get some folks across the mountains, that would be fantastic too. All right. Oh, and thank you, Daniel. So Dana put in the chat about community health and inviting the director of the diabetes for Latinos from UW. We would love to make that connection, and I'm sure our wellness committee would be excited to learn more about that as well. Any other thoughts, ideas, feedback on what we can do this upcoming year?
This isn't your only opportunity to share either. Please feel free to email if you think of something after the meeting, or while ideating on some of the ideas presented today, and if you can build off of them, please feel free to send that information or ideas to us as well.
Yes. Yes, so the email box is always open. Another way that you can provide feedback and direction is contacting Vanessa Rojas about learning more about participating on the board or other areas of work with LLN. We are doing this on top of our regular day jobs, so we really appreciate the ideas, and we also appreciate helping hands to put them into action. So if you're curious about learning more, we have an intake, and that means that you get to learn more about the different committees, the boards, and meet with us. And Vanessa's just a great person to know, and so I'd highly recommend reaching out just to get to go through her orientation meeting as well. So, but yeah, like Monica said, this isn't your only opportunity. If you have other feedback or thoughts, if you appreciate an event, we'd love to hear about that. If you have other suggestions on how we can make these events more inclusive or different topics to cover, we'd really appreciate that. So, like, for example, like covering cultural events during Hispanic Heritage Month. The Jovita Brat, that was something that I thought was really exciting. And so yeah, we'd love your ideas. Yeah, so I think that's all for that portion. Next, we go to announcements from our committee. So thank you, Noemi. So I'll turn it over to each of the committee members, if you don't mind speaking and letting us know about any events or meetings you have coming up or any projects you're working on. And I think Steve and Jovita are up first.
Jovita, you want to talk or you want me to talk?
You can talk. I've been doing a lot of talking.
Okay. So, so this Thursday at 3 p.m., we're going to have our, we have a monthly DEI meeting. And again, going back to Vanessa, the rock star, she's really helped get us a lot more new members, a lot more new interest, recharge, energy. We have lots of members now, and we'd love to have lots more members. This Thursday, we're going to be talking about what we're doing for 2023, what we would like to see happen, and what our DEI members would like to see happen, to dream big and to help make it the best year ever, both for internal, for our own growth, and also for outside of, for putting on lunch and learn presentations, maybe speakers, things like that. So on the screen there, you see my email address and Jovita's email address as well. So if you're interested in this Thursday, next Thursday, excuse me, next month's Thursday meeting, whatever month you want, just email us and we're happy to talk to you and invite you and have you join. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Steve and Jovita. So Angela and Zenaida are new in the wellness committee. So is there anything you'd like to touch on? Excited to have you in those roles.
Hi, I'm Zenaida, and yeah, so as Tony mentioned, we are a fairly new committee, but kind of similar to what Steve was saying, we are, Angela and I are working on having a meeting coming up soon, so if any of you guys are interested, we're primarily focusing on health and wellness for Latinos, so like, if you guys have any recommendations or would like to join us, email us and we can kind of schedule a time that works for all of us and then kind of go from there. But email either Angela or me, and yeah, so that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you.
All right, and so if you're interested in the best practices committee, I'm the point of contact for that. We're actually looking for somebody new to lead the committee since I'm already doing a full-time job and then chair for LLN. But if you're not necessarily interested in picking up that group and leading it, there are opportunities to help with projects. One of the things that we've been working on with some of the other business resource groups is a project on trying to reduce or address language bias and accent bias, and raise awareness around biases currently happening or potential discrimination in terms of things around English and accents, and addressing that. So if you're not necessarily interested in leading the committee, there's other opportunities to help with projects that are already underway. So I'm the point of contact for that. And then I think Sedona talked earlier about Hispanic Heritage Month events, but I don't know, is there anything else you'd like to add, Sedona?
If you want to do a presentation like you saw me do, my only qualifications were I made it and I did it. So if you also want to do that, email me. And you can have a week or more than one if you have many ideas, or you can just help me to make the presentation that I do if you don't want to have that front facing role. So, or just ideas. I'm more than happy if maybe there was something that we touched on in one of the discussions this past year that you want to like delve in deeper on, have a whole subject just on that. I would love to do that for us, so let me know.
So then also, if you're interested in helping with planning for the in-person Hispanic Heritage Month kickoff event, you can contact LLN at ofm.wa.gov, because that also, we've got it one under our belt, so we know how to do it a little bit easier now. But that also will, again, many hands make light work. And the sooner we get on that, the bigger and more exciting we can make the event, and possibly maybe do something outside of the Olympia area, that would be really exciting to do, but we need help with putting that sort of thing together. Okay, I think
I jump in with a reminder for an ask that Nancy had earlier. She had put it in the chat before she had to drop off, but Nancy is our fearless communications lead right now, and she is looking for some content to include in our Latinos on the Rise. So if you could please help us spotlight some well-deserving members of our community and send ideas or any of that information to Nancy, or you can use our LLN email as well. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Nancy's, we're going to be relaunching the newsletter based on feedback from survey from LLN members. So we're excited for that. Okay, any other announcements? Okay, so our next general membership meeting is slated for Valentine's Day at 3 p.m. Again, we meet the second Tuesday of the month for our general membership meetings from 3 to 5 p.m. Let's see. And then, so if we go to the next slide, I think. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So our next meeting will be in February. We're still lining up guest speakers, but there will be an announcement in terms of what the agenda looks like. If you are interested in being a speaker at any of our future events too, please contact us. We'd love to host and feature y'all. Noemi's provided the Outlook calendar invite for 2023 because we updated it this year. I also ask if you haven't done the attendance form, which please take a moment and do it. I filled it out while we were doing our announcements, so it's really quick, but it helps us advertise and share what our participation is, because that's an important sign of our effectiveness with all this. You can also sign up to follow us on GovDelivery, which is where you'll find announcements about upcoming meetings. It's also where we share things that are happening throughout the state, whether that's the Liquor and Cannabis Board's social equity program, or things like the Public Service Recognition Awards. We try to provide information as well as job postings and other information. You can also sign up for the other business resource groups on NeoGov, and if you like getting emails, there's a lot of helpful information that they share. Such as, one thing I want to mention is next Tuesday, the Washington Immigrant Network has an event, a lunch and learn event. One second, or it's from 1 to 2 p.m. It's International Mentoring Day. I'd highly recommend checking it out, where they're going to be talking about mentors and mentees. And so if you're looking for a mentor, or you're somebody with lots of experience you'd like to share, I'd recommend attending that event, because the Washington Immigrant Network does some great events as well. Whew. Okay, with that said, that's our agenda. We've got a couple minutes, so if there's any other feedback you'd like to share, otherwise we can call it a night and go wipe off the tears from our healthy presentation. I want to say thank you, everybody, for attending, for your feedback and your kind words with Alfie.
I'm about to stop the recording.
Okay.